Welcome, everybody. That's right. We are up to the season finale of Voices in the Night. We've made our case, we've built our evidence, and now we're going to reveal the best of the best of unknown sounds contributed to Bigfoot from across the country. That's right here tonight on the Squatchers Lounge podcast. We've got a quasi rewind and a brand new Camp of Tips for Stupids coming at you, so it's going to be a grand old time. That's right. This is November, the last week of November of 2018. That's right. December, we bring on the super fan shows. That's where you guys get a chance to co-host with me. I've already got a couple of them set up, but we can do more than 4. It's not like it's set in stone. So get a hold of me if you would like to host one of the super fan shows this year. That's right. We got a brand new season coming in January for everybody. I'm not going to break it to you what it is yet. We'll get around to that probably the end of the year. However, there is lots and lots of good things going on. I've got a lot of patrons signing up already. I appreciate it. Well, a lot. I got more than I expected already, to be honest with you. Thank you to all you guys. There's more than just Bigfoot content up there. There are ghost stories. There are UFO stories. There's Native American legend stories. I just finished up this volume 1, issue 2 of True Sasquatch Tales. So I'll be recording that tomorrow and getting that up as well. So there's more stuff coming. That's right. She visits me at night. Creepy, just creepy. 10-part story of a boy who's visited by ghosts all of his life, and he and his therapist are trying to figure it out, and it gets really, really creepy. So with that, let's get on to talking about some Bigfoot. That's right. Where are we going to tonight? Well, we're bringing up all kinds of crazy stuff. We started out the season with this 1978 approximation of something that they heard in the early 70s of a Bigfoot howl. You know, in modern times, we never thought we were going to be able to keep up with anything like that. I mean, really, is there anything that's going to sound like that ever? Well, apparently the 1984 Ohio howl, it said, "Hold my beer." So all of a sudden, you know, Robert Morgan and those guys weren't absolutely crazy because those sounds had actually been recorded. And it was just, you know, less than a decade later. Here, a couple of decades later, we get reminded out of the same area of Ohio that, you know, Bigfoot still exists out there. And then all the way across the country, well, 2/3 of the way across the country out to Washington State in 2014, we've got another example of, hey, what the hell is that? Dogs barking in the middle of the screams seem to be a thing. We're picking up a pattern here. The Tahoe enhanced audio as well. Just some 350 miles away. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. Back to Pennsylvania we go. I swear it sounds like they're popping popcorn in that one, like all of the time. It's a little bit strange for sure. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves here, let's skip down to Texas. That's right, the Texas two-step.
Shh. Listen. I have to get it on tape.
I mean, she was serious about it. She had to get it on tape.
Oh. Shh. Listen. I have to get it on tape.
Well, speaking of having to get it on tape, I think this is a pretty good time for us to take just a moment and check out our quasi rewind of the week with Mr. Dean Cooper. Yes, sir. Something about beards? I don't know. Well, that guy has a glorious looking beard. That's for sure. And now, quasi theories from a quasi scientist with your host, Dean Cooper.
Some observations on my beard. A recent preliminary study has found that men's beards, when allowed to grow to at least an inch or two, grow a species of bacteria, Staphylococcus epidermidis, that has antibacterial properties, possibly even against the dreaded methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus, or MRSA bacteria. This has induced me to examine my own beard. I have not the facilities for proper bacterial culture, so I limited myself to visual observations. Here are my conclusions. Firstly, it is almost all white, but there are a few dark brown and a few gray ones left. Secondly, it is not as long as it looks. The longest individual whisker I could find is about 6 inches long. It is at the bottom of my chin. I had allowed all of them to grow as long as they wanted to a couple of years ago, but I had to stop that experiment when they reached ZZ top length and would get stuck in my armpit when I rolled over in my sleep. Thirdly, here's a fact that is little known among those who can't or haven't grown a beard. Yanking on a whisker is like yanking on a pubic hair. They have large roots, and it can hurt like the devil. Getting my beard caught in my armpit would literally yank me awake, henceforth its current length. Fourthly, not all whiskers grow to the same length. For example, the little inverted triangle just under the lower lip, the ones the hipsters grow these days. Those grow to only a couple of inches long and rarely need trimming. The ones on my upper lip seem to want to grow forever, and mine want to grow straight, forming a classic soup strainer. I therefore trim them short. Fifthly, having a longer white beard coupled with long white hair will get one mistaken for a number of other people. Santa Claus, of course, or a wizard. I have heard background comments when out in public of a fat Gandalf being in the area, or a Hogwarts professor. I prefer to be thought of, by Terry Pratchett cognoscenti, as being employed at the Unseen University, where all us wizards never actually practice magic much, due to the widespread destruction that occurs when we fight. Pagonophobes would be justified in their fear. Boy, I enjoy being obscure. You may read the text of this on my blog at bhaidin.com. That's BHAIDIN.com.
Bhaidin.com. There you have it, folks. Observations on men with long beards. And no, they do not have fecal matter in them. What's wrong with you people? Seriously. Shout outs from the Hangout will be coming up next. But for now, let's check out a brand new camping tips for stupid from the mind of Gone Camping's Jevin Moore. So let's take us a lesson.
Camping tips for stupids. Tip number 73. Well, NASA's did it again. Successfully landed another piece of space junk called Insight on Mars, a planet that's less than half the size of Earth. Yay, white boredom. Which got me to thinking, just how in the hell would you go camping on Mars anyway? Well, first you'll need to get to Mars, and I suggest using a spaceship, because catapults sort of suck. And don't forget, Mars's atmosphere is super thin, and is 95.97% carbon dioxide, 1.89% nitrogen, and 100% pure sin, making it the solar system's own Las Vegas, Nevada. So, you'll need a pressurized suit to live in. Tents work a little differently on Mars. You will need to always remember to flush the liberalism out with pressurized air. And always remember to depressurize before unzipping the front door. Toilet? What toilet? It's adult diapers for you. Diapers for days and days and days. Always remember to drive on designated marked trails, if you can even find any. And remember, Mars's core is frozen water, so you'll need to start the alien reactor to melt it to re-terraform the surface. Good luck, Wade. This has been Camping Tips for Stupids. Remember to spay and neuter your idiot population.
Well, there you go, folks. Camping tips for stupids. Spay and neuter your idiot populations. Yeah, camping on Mars would be tough. I totally get that. As you can hear in the background, one of my cockatiels is trying to send Morse code messages to the ASPCA, giving updates on how we are. So, yeah, as a matter of fact, the campfire is not campfire, but as in like the campfire is finally completely contained. There is no more burning going on. The smoke has cleared from the area. We no longer live in a place like Beijing, so we can breathe the air. I've been out walking again. I walked 2 miles today. 2 miles today. That's right. From a guy who could barely get up and down the stairs 3 months ago to walking 2 miles on the same day for fun. Well, for exercise, I wouldn't call it fun. I think we're doing quite well. So let's give some shout outs here in the Hangout. Let's see who's hanging out live with us tonight. If you haven't said hi to me, I can't say hi to you. So let's figure it all out. I'll start with as high as I can get. There's a Shane Barber. That's right. There he is, my friend. How you doing, sir? Glad you're with us. Miss Natalie Smith, I hope you're feeling better. Glad you're well enough to stay with us tonight. Forrest Cop, there's the man. That's right. The myth, the legend, the Forrest Cop himself. There's Tim McCune hanging out with us. He's back in his place. He's so happy to be there. And Snow, I love Snow. I really do love Snow. There's the quasi man himself, Mr. Dean Cooper. Careful, or he'll hit you in the head with that tool. Let's see here. Who else is hanging out with us tonight? There he is, Mr. Lance Windsor. Lance is going to be doing one of our Superfan shows this year. We're going to do it by telephone, and we're going to get it done this time. So I'm really looking forward to that one. There's Hunter. Hunter changed his name from something that was last week. Glad you've got something I can pronounce now, buddy. I can actually say hi to you. Obsidian Radio, there you are, man. Glad you're with us tonight. Squatchbox, there she is. She's always taking care of me. Yeah, the Patreon account is coming along well. If you haven't heard, there's already 4 brand new stories up there, and I'm about to add the 5th one tomorrow. So there's lots of good content going up there, and it's not going to YouTube ever again. As a matter of fact, the stuff that's on YouTube is coming down. The end of December, it is done. I can no longer allow YouTube to make any money on that type of content. I'm sorry. They have screwed me for the last time. Don Rife, there he is. How you doing, pal? Glad you are with us. We still need to do that camping thing. It is going to be either the 2nd or 3rd week of June this year. I'm trying to nail it down. I'm just waiting for the wife, for her to get back to me with when her vacation is approved, and I will nail down the actual dates so you people can ask for it off. One way or the other, those will be the dates we're going camping. Where we go camping, well, that'll be something we got to figure out. But it's not that hard to get into Sacramento, and cheap flights can be had for under $400. So, I know not everybody's rich. I know it's expensive to travel, but it is a vacation. All right, there's the man in Rodney Dupree. He's always in the place to be. There's the Gone Camping Channel, Mr. John Moore. That's right. There's the Fang, Mr. Fang. Morse code. Yeah, how you doing there, sir? Glad you are with us as well. Thank you for being here, sir. Let's see. There's more people. Squatchbox, I'm sure I mentioned her, but Christopher, that's right. He's going to be hanging out with us as well. You guys hopefully will feel up to coming camping with us in June this year. That'd be awesome. Spike Jeff, my friend, how you doing there, sir? Always a fan. You have such a fabulous name. There he is, Mr. Sam Squanch Rivera, checking in from the west coast of Florida. Yes, sir. There he is. I know there's more than this out there. I'm just getting to the top of it. David Roman, welcome to the party, sir. Glad you are with us as well. Jane Baldwin, hello to you as well. So glad you are with us. Brian Coy, just like the fish. I dig that, man. So glad to you. Brian, you can email me at sloungepodcast@gmail.com. And I will be glad to connect with you on a story, and we will see what we can come up with. Karen Robb, there she is. So glad you are with us. That's right. Got a lot of thumbs down on my last Bigfoot story sample that I put up on YouTube, but I kind of gave him a dick punch because I didn't tell him it was a sample. I only gave him half the story. It was touch and go there for a couple of moments. People are not happy that I'm not giving them away for free anymore, but that's just the thing. I did fix, by the way, the $1 general admission ticket. So the $1 per month up there, Patreon, is available. That's it. That's all you got to do to get into the story content. You'll never miss another one. There he is, Mr. Terry Rose. So glad you are checking in as well. There's a Trey Thomas. Hello there, Trey. The Reverend Matthew Gaines is with us. Oh, I forgot it was the Reverend Dean Cooper. That's right. You got to put that on the front of your name there, Dean. Otherwise, I'll forget it until you got a fucking dart in your neck. Yes, you do. So glad you are with us, too. That guy changes his name every week. It's freaking fantastic. Let's see here. Getting to the bottom of the list here. If you haven't said hi to me, I don't know you're here. Brian, it is sloungepodcast@gmail.com. SLOUNGE podcast@gmail.com. So there we have it, folks. I'm here. You're there. Jack Frost playing games is with us as well. Let's see. I think that is about everybody. If I missed you, drop me a message in there and I will pick you up before the end of the show. Well, Dean Cooper's Dingleberries. That's just I don't know if I would claim that or not. Right. Here we go, people. Back to it. Got some more creepy things to listen to. Here's one out of the Sam Houston out of Texas again. Not real sure what this is. That was one of those ones that you just, I don't know. Here's that Texas Howl return that we talked about last week.
Oh. Shh. Listen.
It's the one where the lady just had to get it on tape. Here's one out of Minnesota. Minnesota, don't you know? There's no idea what that is. Like, seriously, no clue. Here's another one out of Minnesota that's a possible Bigfoot howl.
Fucking believe this shit. What is that? The air in the commodity. Hike. Hey, what is that? I don't know. Never heard that.
Everybody wants to go Bigfoot hunting until the Bigfoot start to show up. Here's another one out of the possible Bigfoot howl, again out of Minnesota. Sorry, that was just a repeat of the other one. That happens sometimes when you're getting excited about things. Here is the BFRO Bigfoot howl itself. That's the one that's always so intriguing that if you listen to it with headphones on and turn it up, you can really hear some monkey expression going on in the background. I don't know how many creatures are there or animals that are there or whatever it is that's making this noise, but it absolutely sounds incredible. I just don't know what that would be in anywhere in the forest of America. And, here's the Isabella howl. Oh, now it's going to crash on me? Really? From just about every single corner of the forested areas of America this year, we've been able to find undocumented animal noises that are coming from some type of a large animal, and they all seem to have similar calls throughout them. Howls, whoops, whistles, they all seem to be common amongst them. And then there seems to be some differences in some of the calls across the country as well. Through the middle of the country, there's those strange wailing calls that you don't really hear out on the West Coast or on the East Coast. And, you know, when you go and you compare this type of communication, because that's what it would have to be, to something like a chimpanzee troop or an orangutan troop, they all have, you know, they all have a base of the same types of sounds that they can make. However, in the end, when they're actually utilizing those sounds, they do come up with regional sounds for other things. What may be an apple is a high hoot in one chimpanzee troop, may be a low depressive hoot in a different chimpanzee troop, yet they still mean apple no matter what they do. And as we find that where we're mixing these animal troops together, they learn to call each other's fruit by what the other calls it. So they can learn the regional differences in dialect. I guess it would be a dialect of sense. Is it complex communication? I don't believe they have language. I don't believe this is a language of any kind. But to say that a dog's barking at another dog isn't a type of communication would be just as silly as saying, you know, the dolphins squawking at each other underwater isn't the type of communication. That may in fact be a language. I don't know, because I don't speak dolphin, but I do speak dog, and they're pretty dumb. So, but we set out this year on an adventure to prove that you could go anywhere in the forested parts of America, from Florida to Vermont and Maine, New York, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Idaho. We went through New Mexico and Arizona, Texas, Oklahoma, Tennessee, West Virginia, North Carolina. We touched on California and Washington State and Oregon, British Columbia, some of the central Canada states, the eastern Canadian states. You know, we touched on just about every single part of this country, and we have the same types of unknown animal calls coming from the forests out there. What have we proven? Well, we've proven that through, you know, 30-something shows and an entire year of presenting this out there, that we found answers to 2 or 3 small calls, and we still have dozens of unknown calls that are coming from these woods that woodsmen, hunters, trappers, biologists, forestry workers can't identify. And we're all still sitting here with the same questions on our mind. What's making those noises? What's making especially the howls and the whoops and the yells that sound very, very primate? In all of the sightings that we see, no one really ever reports seeing a Bigfoot make that sound. They hear the sound and then they see the Bigfoot. Just like we've never seen a report where somebody saw, you know, a Bigfoot step up to a tree like Babe Ruth and smack the tree with a stick. No one's ever reported actually seeing that. We haven't found the tree locations where they would be hitting those trees. I mean, you would think that there would be some damage. I don't know if you've done it, but I've done it. Pick up a big heavy stick and whack it up against the tree. It leaves a mark. There should be footprints on the ground, and we just haven't found those things. But yet, what else would be out there that would be able to do it? Smacking a stick on stick takes fingers to do it, and that is the key to it. Whatever it is out there making these screams has a larger lung capacity than I do, and I can really, really let it scream out there sometimes. So it's really hard to say what it isn't, but it's even more hard to say what it is. So with that, people, we're going to kind of wrap it up here for the evening. I'm going to go back here and check who came late to the party. It looked like Candy Apple checked in for the night. How you doing there, sweetheart? So glad you are with us as well. And I saw that I just saw a new name up there, Trey Thomas. If I didn't say hi to you, I certainly have now. And I believe I saw one more kick in a little bit late. If I haven't said hi to Terry Rowe, I certainly have now. I'm going to finish this one up tonight with The most favorite real Bigfoot encounter requested with Paco the Chihuahua. Go out and check out the Patreon. It is patreon.com/cryptid corner. There you go. That'll tell you exactly how to get there. And thanks so much for being here tonight, guys. May the Squatch be with you. And take a listen to this real Bigfoot encounter rewind. Welcome to another edition of Real Bigfoot Encounters with Reverend Jeff. This week's story comes to us from deep within the wilds of the vast North Florida Ocala National Forest. A young hiker attempting to cross the entire forest has a run-in with a creature unlike anything he's ever heard of before. Could this be the Bigfoot of legends? Let's hear his story and find out. My name is John C., and I was an avid hiker. I lived near the ocean in New Smyrna Beach, Florida. In the spring of my 18th birthday, I decided to hike across Florida, just me and my Chihuahua, Paco. A hiking pack and enough gear to make us comfy each night. Our first few days out were pretty normal. We hiked from park to park, set up a hammock overnight, and moved on the next day. No one even noticed we were there. It was about the fifth day when we arrived at the edge of the Ocala National Forest. I had ordered maps of the park long before I ventured out from home, as I knew people had gotten lost, never to be seen again over the decades in the park. We'd been packing in along Route 44, which led from the East Coast basically right into the West Coast along that route, and it cut right through the middle of the forest for many miles. I figured we'd be in the park for at least 4 nights before crossing the nearly 70 miles of dense, really unforgiving territory, but this wasn't our first rodeo. Paco and I made a short distance into the forest that day, so we posted up near a trail in the afternoon. I figured we could get some good rest and push off early the next day, hoping to cover 15 miles. I set up my hammock and started a small campfire, cooked up some Chef Boyardee for me and Paco. Yeah, I know it's bad for us, but I only brought a few cans to enjoy. The rest was dry dog food and MRE packs. Oh, joy. Well, we sat along a log a lot that I drug over near the fire pit. We ate up like the night was so quiet, it was kind of spooky. But what was there to fear? I had my fearless Paco at my side. I let the fire die down, and I picked up Paco, and we settled into the hammock for some sleep. I was awakened to a strange noise at about 3 in the morning. I swear it sounded like a tree was falling or something was grunting while tearing up in the brush about 30 yards outside of our camp. We couldn't see what was there, but could have been anything from a bear to a wild boar. At this point, maybe even a panther. Soon after, though, everything was quiet again. My nerves settled, but we went back to sleep. I awoke to a beautiful day. The birds were singing. The wind was so up and went. I decided to walk out past the area that the noise had come from that night. I discovered the strangest thing. A tree twisted and broken, but not at the ground, nearly 5 feet up the trunk. It surely didn't look natural, and all the grass around the tree looked as if a football team had been running blocking drills around it for hours, just all smashed down. I decided it'd be best to move on as the daylight was burning, and the further I got from this, the better I'd feel about it. I took a route that led us past Alexander Springs and led over towards Buck Lake, hoping to be able to fish that night when we arrived. Sadly, some weather moved in and late in the afternoon, so I set up a tarp and hung the hammock to wait out the storm deep off trail in a place one would hope not to be found. The rain set in, the wind picked up, the darkness soon set. There was no hope for a fire, everything was just too wet. Just about 9 o'clock, the rain finally stopped, but the clouds were so thick and the forest was cloaked in a darkness that your eyes just couldn't pierce. Paco was shivering, and for that matter, so was I, and I could feel something just wasn't right. Something out there. I knew it for sure. I could hear it, huffing and puffing in the darkness as it seemed to pace around our spot. Paco let out a loud bark, and for whatever reason, whatever it was, snorted back, and then it seemed to bark right back at Paco in a far deeper tone. Paco pulled back in fear for a moment, and then he lost his ever-loving mind. Paco jumped from my arms and charged off into the darkness, barking and snarling like nothing I'd ever seen him do before. He was quickly out of my sight and seemingly lost in the darkness without me. My heart sank into the pit of my guts when I heard him whimper and yelp in pain from the darkness, and that's when I lost it too. I picked up a large branch in one hand and grabbed my bowie knife in the other, and out I went screaming into the woods where I had heard my best friend. One moment I'm He-Man, and the very next moment I was as terrified as I'd never been before. Right in front of me stood a hair-covered giant, as dark as the night, snarling and whooping at me like a rabid dog on a fresh kill. Just to his side was Paco. He was laying in a heap near a root ball of a fallen down tree, and I charged at the beast with everything I had. I swung the branch as hard as I could, but the monster just swatted it away like it was nothing to fear. The branch went flying from my hand, and the pain stung deep into my palm, as if I just struck a mailbox filled with concrete with a baseball bat. So I lurched forward with the bowie knife, and the blade struck his arm as he went to defend, and the blade pierced it, and he jerked back and shrieked in pain and then anger. It charged at me, knocking me to the ground to what seemed like its waist. It was so tall, and I smacked my head on a tree root and passed out for a bit. The next thing I knew, I awoke. 10 hours had passed. It was morning again, and there by my side was Paco, keeping me warm and very much alive. When I stirred, he woke up, wagged his tail, and slowly stood up. He yelped in pain for a moment as I started to rise. I felt faint at first, but my strength returned. I took a quick look around and found giant footprints all around the area in what looked like some kind of nest made out of pine boughs. Could it be that we just happened to hunker down on its den? Could my luck really be that horrible? I quickly gathered up what gear I could find, and I showed Paco the fastest way out to the road. I'd immediately flagged down the first car I saw, and I begged them to take us to the ranger station. The poor lady that stopped was grossed out by my looks. I hadn't realized I had a head wound, and half of my head was covered in blood. Nancy was her name. She quietly asked me what happened. What was I supposed to say? The truth? No way. So I told her I was intact in my camp while I slept, but I never saw who did it. The ranger station was about 20 minutes away, and we arrived pretty quickly, as I think she was afraid of me, because the moment I stepped out of the truck and grabbed my pack, she peeled off in her truck without looking back. I stepped up to the ranger station, and when I got to the front door, I caught a glimpse of the shape I was in and realized that had what scared Nancy so badly. The ranger on duty noticed me and came to the door. He rushed over, opened it, let Paco and I inside. He grabbed my pack as I made my way over to the bench, and he called for an ambulance and a local county sheriff right away. He then asked what happened, and I actually told him the truth. His eyes got as wide as saucers as I let the details unfold to him, so much so that at one point he pointed out and said, "I knew it," to which I asked, of course, what the hell do you mean? He said, "I knew Bigfoot was real. That's what you ran into." Where exactly did it happen? Ranger Tom brought over a map, and I circled the spot as close of a guess as I could make. He then folded up the map and put it in his coat pocket before anyone arrived. Ranger Tom told me frankly that while I should tell the truth that I had been attacked, it would be wise to just claim it happened while you slept. You didn't see who did it like you did with Nancy. I thought to myself, that's what I should have told Ranger Tom, too. Well, the medic arrived, and he cleaned up my wound. He asked what happened, and I gave him the same story I told Nancy. And Ranger Tom said that was the story that I had told him as well. It turned out my wound wasn't all that bad. I didn't need to go to the hospital. The deputy sheriff showed up next, and after talking to Ranger Tom and Medic Pete, he came over and asked me to tell him what happened. For just a moment, just that fleeting microsecond, I wanted to blurt out, "I was attacked by Bigfoot, you schmuck," but I gave him the short version as well. They called for my uncle to drive out from the beach to pick me up. About an hour later, Uncle Matt was there. He loaded my gear into the trunk of his car and put Paco into the back seat. He helped me out to the car, never asked why I didn't call my father. We rode halfway home in silence, and I was the one that started to talk. I started out with, "Well, you won't believe this story, but it is the truth." I recounted the events to him the best I could manage to recall, and Uncle Matt only asked one thing of me. He says I need a description of the beast. I told him it was nearly 7 feet tall, very wide at the shoulders with a head that sat deep on top with no neck. It narrowed at the waist like a bodybuilder, which led to big, powerful legs with strange proportions to the knees. The arms seemed to be super strange as well, as if the bone from the shoulder to the elbow was a good 1/3 longer than it should be, making it swing low on the body close to that odd knee. Hair so black it seemed to disappear into the night. long arms, and then shorter at the hips. Yet what I remember most is the face, which is the last thing I saw as I fell to the ground as it charged me. A cone-shaped head, deep, wide-set eyes, pure black. It had a hint of brown around the iris. A big rounded nose and low-slung jaw with what seemed to be was on a hinge as it was screaming. It opened so widely I could smell its foul breath. Is that enough, I asked, to which he replied, yes. Boy, that's quite enough. I believe you. Anyone with such a story had better have gotten a good look at whatever knocked him to the ground. I know there's creatures out there we haven't seen in modern times, that there's all the same, the Seminole legends go back a couple 100 years. You just had the worst luck hunkering down near its den. I'm just glad the two of you were okay. Uncle Matt agreed with me that my parents should get the short story or my mother will worry to death anytime I leave the house. I fell down. I landed on Paco. We got help. The end. That was a story I told for years to protect myself from ridicule. Well, no more will I hide. It happened to me. It could happen to you. I no longer hike in the woods. This poor guy had the bad luck of claiming territory that wasn't his. His brush with the monster nearly ended his days with another real Bigfoot encounter. Thanks for watching. I'm Reverend Jeff. May the Squatch be with you.